Madam President.
Okay, thank you. All right, let me. Okay, good evening, everyone. It's a lovely day outside. I spend most of the day out there today, and I wanted to complain the heat wave, but too grateful for the weather. I hope all of you get a chance to enjoy it, and just to say thank you again for joining us virtual on the meeting. You know, it's a lot of important things that we need to talk about and hear from you as well. So I hope you stay tuned tonight for the duration of the meeting. Okay, so we have a packed agenda, and before we do so, I don't know if anyone is new. I think by now with us on virtual, most of you probably are expert on it, but before I go any further, maybe throw in Susan again, just to give a little bit of highlight before we go in terms of muting and so forth.
Sure, thank you for that, and welcome everyone to tonight's June 2023 Delegates meeting. As you know, we ask people to keep yourself on mute unless you're invited to speak, so that we keep background noise to a minimum. Please use the chat function to share thoughts or ideas, and of course we'll be posting links and reports and things like that in there. When it is time to speak, we'd ask you to raise your hand in the reaction function, not just the temporarily waving hand, because raising the hand in the reaction function, the permanent one brings you up to the top corner so that we can see that you've got your hand up. And I guess that's about it. Oh, online voting will take place for those who are with us online. We don't have the voting function available to those of you who are on the phone. Have a great meeting.
All right, thank you. So before we go any further into the meeting, I am going to call Comrade Abdi. If you could read the harassment statement for us, please.
Thank you, Madam President. Hello, sisters and brothers, comrades. Toronto and York Regional Labor Council harassment statement. Mutual respect, cooperation, and understanding are strongly held principles of the trade union movement. We will neither condone nor tolerate harassing or discriminatory behavior that creates an intimidating, hostile or offensive environment and undermines the dignity or self-esteem of any individuals. An injury to one is an injury to all. Speech or conduct which is racist, sexist, homophobic, or discriminatory in any way is unacceptable to trade unionists and only serves to divide us. Our policies and practices must reflect this commitment to equality as we work together for justice and dignity in our workplaces, our unions, and our communities. Thank you. Back to you, Madam President.
Thank you very much. And I'm going to turn over to Comrade Jinky, also for the land acknowledgement.
Good evening, everyone. Good evening, comrades and friends. Tonight, we are meeting on the traditional territories of the Mississauga of the New Credit, which is subject to the Dish with One Spoon Treaty between the Anishinaabe, the Mississaugas, and the Haudenosaunee that bound them together to share the territory and protect the land. Subsequent Indigenous nations and peoples, Europeans, and all newcomers have been invited into this treaty in the spirit of peace, friendship, and respect. Back to you, Madam Chair.
Thank you. All right. So it's always a pleasure having new delegates. You know, we feel lonely when it's just us all the time. The more, the merrier. So I want to take this opportunity. I don't want to miss out on anyone that is attending our meeting for the first time. We want to welcome you properly and making sure that all of our delegates recognize each other when we are out at an event and as we see the names out there. So if you are here for the first time, I'm going to invite you to just to raise your hand so we know who's here for the first time as a delegate. Okay. And in the meantime, for others that are coming, don't be shy. I see Michelle, and Michelle, welcome. And if you could just say your name and your union local for everyone, I would appreciate that.
Yeah, can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Hi, my name is Michelle Leclerc. I'm IBW member, local 353 out of Toronto, Ontario.
Thank you. Welcome, Michelle. Okay, I'll check if there's anyone else. Okay, so far, no. Okay. All right. Okay, and we sent the minutes out earlier for everyone. If you're on Zoom, you should be able to vote. I don't know about. I think for YouTube you're not. You could just observe and that's it. So if you had a chance to review the minutes, then I'm also going to move on to approving it and ask for mover and a seconder to approve the minutes. I see Mark Dubinsky. Is there a seconder? Thank you, Blair. Okay, and then we're gonna put it up for a vote. We normally do this by poll. Do we have a poll for tonight? Okay.
Right, we'll give it another 5 seconds. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. End poll. And the minutes pass with a large majority.
Okay, thank you very much. Okay, and at this time, I'm gonna ask if anyone is here for strike or lockout report. Just put your hand up. Any strike or lockout report? Okay.
Andrea,
I see Sunny.
Yeah, thank you.
Sunny, go ahead.
So I'm not sure if this is a good time now because we have a strike vote, but we're not yet on strike. So I don't know if I should do this during union report or now.
It's during the union report.
Okay, I'll do it then. Thanks.
Thank you, Sunny. Yeah. All right. Okay, so I'll check. Is there anyone else strike or lockout report? We know there's a Susan. I see Susan hand up. Susan, go ahead.
Yeah, I could say that we reached out to Craig Reynolds, who is the PSAC Regional Vice President for Ontario, who was, and a number of us also went out to help support the PSAC Woodbine Casino workers. 1,000 of them who were out on strike for a couple of weeks. Half of them are part-time workers, and the part-time workers get no shift guarantee. Their wages are also close to minimum wage, although they do get tips, and they were offered a paltry wage increase. Anyway, their employer locked them out, but on May the 26th, I believe it was, they negotiated a new collective agreement with no concessions and with some good gains. And we know that Craig and the president of that PSAC local are really busy. We had invited them to attend, and perhaps they will be able to join us in future. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you very much, Susan. Okay, and I'm gonna step back a little bit. We skipped over the credential report. So I'll turn over to Comrade Blair.
Thank you, Madam President. The credential report for tonight is CUPE Local 2484, 2 delegates. I so move if I can get a seconder.
I can second it. Carol Carpenter, Local 4400.
Thank you, Carol.
Okay. Okay, did you want me to, are you gonna go continue, comrade?
Pardon me?
Did you want me to finish it or you wanna?
I just have the 2 for tonight. CUPE Local 2484, 2 delegates.
Okay. Okay, so so that's the 2, and we're gonna put it to approve, to vote on it. Okay. So could we have a motion to approve the credential report?
Madam President, yeah, I moved in Carol Carpenter, Local 4400. I think it was seconded.
Okay, thank you. So we'll put the poll up.
All right, 5 seconds more. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And not unanimous, but a large majority.
Thank you. All right. So I mean, today, at the beginning of June, and so many things happening in June. And starting off, you know, just to talk a bit about June 1st, that usually mark Injury Workers Day. I would say across the province, where workers gather, community gather to recognize the day and to, you know, continue to push on the issues that workers have. Today, some of you, I don't know how much of you maybe from our meeting tonight participate, but some of you might have been at Queen's Park and also at the Ministry of Labor today. And I want to shout out to CUPE Ontario. They also had a large group from the convention came up to join the group today. So that was amazing. Large group came out and their voices heard. And again, marking the 40th anniversary of Injury Workers Day. That's so important to show that we continue to take on this fight. It's a fight that we take on in the workplace, and just sadly that it's also a fight that we take on also outside of the workplace. Many workers are also everywhere. They're facing the increased level of violence. We hear that so much within the workplace. We hear that of our own members, workers who are facing violence in the workplace, the impact on their well-being in the job and also outside of the job, which is unbelievable. Because I know when we gather for a day of mourning, we do talk a bit about going to work to earn a living and not to die, but we also see the impact of it now when it comes to injuries in the workplace, that it's not just in the workplace and you're not safe sometimes outside of the workplace as well. It is the huge stressor that people are facing today, the inadequate, affordable housing and mental health. You know, before that, we probably would just be focusing on what happened within the workplace, but then we now have to look at some of what is causing some of these injuries and illness with people facing the stress when it comes to inadequate affordable housing, the kind of mental stress that what we see happening, challenges that's also the staying afloat. You know, these stressors are keeping folks in, it's also keeping them in bad jobs, bad home, and also bad situation. With all of that I'm saying, it's very sad because as we mark the day, and such a day for us to also talk about a 5th-year apprentice in Hamilton. I believe a member of IBEW Local 105, Aaron Stone, and he was shot and killed by his landlord just a few days ago. And also Aaron's partner, Carissa McDonald, an educational assistant, also was killed. Workers are being killed even off the job due to housing and mental issues. And it's not just on the job that workers are facing harm, injury, or being killed. It's prevalent everywhere now. As a society continue to struggle with the aftermath of pandemic, our provincial government continue to make things worse. We heard a lot of that today at the rally. Different people talk a bit, whether it's a migrant worker who gather and share, whether it's others in the community that share their own partner's grief, living with someone who's injured and the government not doing enough. With everything, and heavy heart, and as we talk about this day, and including 2 people that lost their life because of this, I also want to call on you to, for us to have a moment of silence to honor Injured Workers Day, and to honor the lives of those like Aaron Stone and Carissa McDonald, workers who are being harmed and killed because of inadequate social and mental support. And at this time, could we just take a moment of silence, please? Thank you, Miriam. Okay. Not just for the delegates meeting, there's different occasion that we've been talking about the Enough is Enough campaign. I know last year, imagining to where we're at right now, when we started talking, and I think the urgency of it, and hearing from our affiliates how important this was, because everyone had enough and just looking for support and the solidarity support for us to stand up and to push back and to say enough is enough. There's so much issues that, as I mentioned, that people are facing in the workplace and within their own community. And, it's such a good segue, not just for us as we look at lobbying the government for rights, for workers' rights, but to also mark June 3rd as another day for us stepping out there and recommitting ourselves to take on this fight. So I have with us, I believe, I hope Yolanda is here. Is Yolanda here, Susan?
Yolanda is here. I know she's, yes, I believe she is available, and
Okay, thank you.
step up in just a moment.
All right. Okay, so Yolanda, for anyone that don't know Yolanda, Yolanda is from Ontario Federation of Labor, and we're also working on this very important campaign about Enough is Enough. And I'm going to turn over to Yolanda to talk to us about the campaign and how you can support and take on this action. Yolanda, welcome.
Thank you very much. Thank you, President Andrea Babington, and bonsoir. Good evening, everyone. As you heard, my name is Yolanda Midesi. My pronouns are she, her, and elle. And I was surprised, but always happy to be, I'm always here, but I'm happy to be invited to speak by the Toronto York Region Labor Council, I'm surprised because I'm thinking there's no way that anybody here, these are our true labor supporters, and I thought there's no way that anybody here doesn't know everything there is to know about June 3rd, because I know that you are all the people who've been knocking on the doors, calling people, posting on social media, TikTok, Instagram, Facebook. You've been sending emails and you've been having those conversations, because you have to be living under a rock to not know what is going on. I know that you know that it is June 3rd. I know that you know that we have our slogan. I have it here en français, assez c'est assez, enough is enough. We've been talking about this since January. You were with us with Chris Smalls in March, so I know that you know. But just in case you'd like to tell other people in other parts of the province, you can tell them that we have 31 events happening across Ontario, because it's not just in Toronto that we're saying enough is enough. I know that you've seen the subway ads if you travel as I do, and shout out to ATU for helping us to get those subway ads out there. I chose the yellow with the orange to remind you all that little pop. I will remind you, and I have some of our labor leaders here from ONA, from OPSU. I see our brother Nigel from ECT. We have feeder marches coming from across Toronto. And I know that, because I still get the emails, that the education workers will be meeting at Church Public School, Church Street Public School, and they will be meeting us. We will be all meeting at Nathan Phillips Square at noon. We will be having speakers chanting. There will be sign-up sheets so that we can get, not us, because we all know, but the new revolutionaries to get involved, to tell their bosses, to tell this government that is enough is enough. We are going to be asking at each of our stops for each of the 5 demands. We're asking for, and I know that you can say them all with me, and the teacher in me really wants you to all unmute and tell me, or write it in the chat, but I will do my new role and say, we need real wage increases. We need rent control and affordable housing. We need affordable gas, groceries, and basic goods. We need schools and healthcare and other public service to be kept public, and we need to make the banks and corporations pay. We used to have 5 demands, but we've added a 6, because we know that there are no jobs, as former President John Cartwright was always saying, there are no jobs on a dead planet, so we need true climate justice. So again, to remind everyone, and I know that you can all, and I should have been posting in the chat, but you can all visit our website at the OFL, so it's ofl.ca, and you can go and look for the events, look for our demands, but know that we'll be starting at Nathan Phillips Square. We'll then be marching to Yonge Street and Temperance Street, where we'll have a short pause. And again, more chanting, more speeches. I should say that we're going to be having we're honored to have the appearance from our very own President, Andrew Babington, who will be speaking at Nathan Phillips Square at the beginning. So nobody wants to miss that. We'll also then be going to Yonge Street and Dundas Street, which is where the education workers will be meeting us. We'll then go to Hospital Row. And again, at each of these stops, we'll be talking about the major events. And we'll go to Hospital Row and have a quiet protest there, because we want to be considerate not just of our comrades who are working, but also, of course, of the people who are in the hospitals and their visitors. And we'll end at Queen's Park. And I know there's some people who are saying, oh, there we go again, marching on a weekend and protesting in front of empty buildings. But I know that all of you know that it's not just about talking to Doug Ford, and it's not just about talking to the bosses. It is about making those connections. We know as unionists, we know as labor, that enough is enough. And we know what the demands are, but there's so many people out there who are being seduced, I'll use the word seduced, and taken in by the right. All those disgusting ads that Polyevra has about, oh, are you tired of raging? The same things that we're saying. Are you tired of having not enough money to do things, to fill your car with gas? But his idea is to cut taxes. And we know that taxes are what the lifeblood of our public services. And so we need to meet those people. We need to take their frustration, we need to take their hopelessness, we need to take their anger, and we need to channel it into the right ways. We need to get them involved. We need to let them know that there is hope, and that the hope is that, as we've seen all across Europe and in different places across the world, what we have and what June 3rd is, it's about our collective political power. We saw in November, we don't have to wait until 2026 to get rid of this government. We know that when we come together, that we can make a change. I know that you will all be there. I know that this is preaching to the very beautiful choir. I expect to see you there. I'll be wearing the shirt that says "Assez c'est assez." look for me, bring yourself, more importantly, bring 10 people. If you know people in other areas, tell them to go and become one of the 31 other events that are happening. There are buses coming from all across the province because they know that Toronto is going to be the place to be. And with that, I will say, assez c'est assez, l'union fait la force, solidarity and power to all of you.
Okay, thank you very much. Yeah, and I have to say that Yolanda already called us out. There's no one here that don't know anything about the enough is enough. So I'm gonna invite all of you to be there. And I don't want to just see you there. I want you to bring someone with you, bring a coworker with you, bring a neighbor with you, bring a family member with you, and bring your swags. Let us get out there and you know, just be determined. You know, I think it's the urgency. We need to recommit ourselves. We are here again, and for several meetings, as we do talk a bit about what's happening in our city and upcoming election. Enough is I think also is the icing and the issues that we are facing. And I believe if you are out there on Saturday, then you are really committing. If you're Torontonian, you live or work or play here, how important it is for us also to send that message and then get ourselves ready on June 26th. Again, Yolanda, thank you very much for joining us. And again, just to remind us of this event that's coming up and why it's important for us to be there. This is us, this is our fight. It's not others, it's all of us. So we're gonna be there. All right, thank you. We just to let you know that we also have a guest speaker that will be coming in and not here yet, probably later. So I'm going to shift the agenda a little bit. And, you know, I mentioned before that June is just starting and a lot of happening, and important month, very important month right through this agenda. I will just remind you as we go along of different things that's happening. Again, that we need to play a role in and take on any challenges that we find with that as well. So I'm going to switch over a little bit to talk to you about some of these things that's coming up, you know, about Pride Month and also Labor Day. Labor Day, for anyone that's wondering what's happening, and if you're already in your own union and planning Labor Day, please don't leave without us. You know, and then we'll move on after that to the mayoral by-election. So I'll start off just to talk to you a little bit about Pride. You know, I'm sure many of you have heard over the past few weeks that the York Catholic District School Board has been debating over whether or not to fly the Pride flag at the school. You know, I hope you're hearing a lot. I know this is very serious, like for everyone that's tuned into this, it's very concerning of what's happening and are we going forward or what's happening here. During their board meeting this week, the trustees at the York Catholic voted no to flying the flag. If it wasn't for the fact that the York OECTA unit was celebrating its 25th anniversary tonight, I'm sure we'd have a speaker here to talk to us a little bit more about what's going on. But it's all is not gone. We also have a recording from President Mike Totten from York Catholic Teachers who will tell us about this and how we can offer our support. So Jennifer, if you'll roll the video, please.
And I am the president of York Catholic Teachers. In January 2023, the York Catholic Teachers Executive made the decision to support members and students of the 2S LGBTQIA+ community by distributing safe space stickers to members who could choose to put them up in their classrooms. By virtue of our Catholic faith and following Jesus' message of acceptance for all God's children, this was an opportunity to bring our Catholicity and love for our whole community together. What followed was chaos created by some parents who claimed to follow Catholic values, yet tore down stickers because they fundamentally believed these stickers did not represent those same Catholic values. This was followed by 3 successive board meetings filled with messages of hate toward the 2SL LGBTQIA+ community, and a board whose only response was it's the union's fault because they didn't let us know they were distributing their stickers. Now this past Monday, after a vote of 6-4, a group of trustees, hiding behind their faith in order to justify homophobia, denied the 2SL LGBTQIA+ community an opportunity to be recognized with a simple gesture of flying the Progress Pride flag like all other Catholic GTA boards. Now is the time we need your support more than ever. Together we can send a clear message that the Board of Trustees needs to be accountable for their actions. If you're a Catholic taxpayer, or if you have children in the Catholic system, write to the chair of the board, Frank Alexander, and your local trustee to clearly express your displeasure with their decision to not fly the Progress Pride flag. You're also welcome to join us and walk with us in the York Region Pride Parade on June 17th, where York Catholic teachers will have a strong delegation of members, students, union supporters, and community activists walking together in support of the 2SL LGBTQIA+ community. Together, we will rise and have our voices heard.
Okay. Yes, I want to say a special thank you to the York Catholic teachers for letting us know how we can support their pivotal fight. This is so important. Their next step, as he mentioned, that they'll be marching on June 17 in York Region in Newmarket, and I want to take the opportunity again to extend. Sometimes we're in Toronto, and then York Region is on the other side where they do come down to Toronto, and sometimes we do things differently, but this fight is about all of us. It's a fight that's in our backyard, and it's a fight that's inside our own community. And as you're hearing, it's a fight that's also within the school board. So I want to extend that invitation to you. If you're free, or make some time on your calendar for June 17 to join them, to let us go up into Newmarket and join the parade. Bring your signs, bring anything that you have to show that it's the solidarity, showing if you're Torontonian, show Toronto going into York Region to show that sense of solidarity. The more of us together, then it's clear that it's not about us helping the neighbor, it's about our fight. So Jennifer, I believe, would also put that link in the chat for you for more information as well. Before we move on, I want to say that the rise of homophobia, biphobia, transphobia, as I said, it's a very concerning. We have been in touch recently with our former Labor Rapid Response members, and in case there are any further hate groups showing up at drag story time at local libraries. So we have to get ourselves organized. With all these growing rise of hate, we can't fall asleep. And so this is why our rapid response team is back up again and getting ready to make sure that we're pushing back on hate. So just stay tuned and get ready for us to stand up together and take on these fights. During the Pride Month, let us also think of ways to meet the need for a safer union, labor spaces, particularly for trans and non-binary workers. And let's think of ways to work on bargaining languages that lift up the 2S LGBTQIA plus workers. In the same way we're working on this to address systemic racism. It's so important. It's so important if you're having negotiation within your own workplace and for union reps that might be on to think about how you can include these languages into your collective agreement as well. Finally, please support Pride programming and marches, not just the big one downtown, but those in your own local community. Starting, if this is the first one, with June 17 in Newmarket. And I want, before I go any further, to wish you happy Pride Month. Thanks. And then the next one that I mentioned for Labor Day, the Labor Day theme. So earlier this year, if you already got it, our first issue of our labor action, it was called Year of the Union. So I'm holding up the copy of it. It's a Year of the Union, and this is so important because we've gone through so much, and we check to see if it's safe for us to get out there. We check to see if it's time for us to fight back, if it's time for us to take on the boss or just retreat and wait until someone says it's time to recover. And we saw that like the last few months, late last year and heading into this year, how labor is standing up. We're taking the street and we're fighting, and we are winning. We are winning. And so this is a reflection of it, but we don't need to stop there. Our executive board wanted to expand on this theme in talking about our Labor Day. So this Labor Day theme, our board had our meeting last week, and so the Labor Day theme for this year, it would be let's see, it's called the Year of the Union, worker power lifting communities. So that's the theme. And this is just a little bit a sneak preview that we're giving you here. It gives a nod to a bunch of things like our own community, workers' power, and I have to add to that as well that the CLC convention theme of lifting workers up. This is also a part of that. So we are really combining what everyone is acknowledging, that we do need to stand up and we need to lift each other up, whether it's in our community or within our own union. So I give you just a sneak preview of that, and we will follow up with more information to your union, the heads of unions, and to all the unions out there, and get ourselves ready. We have the Union Labor Day coordinators that usually meet before Labor Day to go through the logistic and what need to get done within their own union for Labor Day. And those meetings are coming up soon. So you will hear more. Stay tuned for that. So just consider yourself that you have the theme and ready to go, so that your union can also build on these themes and all the, on your t-shirts, your placards, your float, any swags that you're thinking of to attach this theme to it if you choose so. All right, so that is it. Worker power lifting community. Thank you very much. So I want to move back now to the mayoral election. Yep. So as I mentioned before, that June is full month for us, with the Enough is Enough being on June 3rd, and a full month of Pride festivity and celebration. June 26th is also a big day for all of us. Yes, it is. Whether we live or work or leisure in the city of Toronto, yeah. If you live in Peel or wherever you live, you can't say it's Toronto business. This affects all of us. This is very important. June 26th is a chance for us to elect a progressive, worker-friendly mayor. Yeah, that's so important. We have a second opportunity to get it right this time. If you can please go and vote during the advance poll, and there is good news for that as well. If you know, get out there and vote. If you are and get yourself ready to go out and volunteer. And why I say that, the advance poll give you opportunity to do it first, and then free up your time to go out and volunteer. As well, to make sure that everyone is getting out there and vote. So from June 8th to June 13th, there'll be advance poll available. And the good news about that, you can vote anywhere that the advance poll set up. You don't have to vote near home. You can actually vote anywhere during the advance poll date, June 8th to the 13th. So that's very good news. If a poll is close to work, then go there. Wherever it's along route, go there. So you don't have to miss out on that. So I'm going to turn this over for the rest of the update on the mayoral by-election. And I want to check. I believe Skylar I'm going to turn over to you, Skylar.
Yes, thanks, Andrea. It's going to be me again tonight. We did have well, our EPC members are very busy people, and some of them are out doing election stuff right now. So, so in lieu of a direct update from the EPC, I will channel them for you. So lots has been happening in the last month. The report that I gave last month was that we are moving forward with an issues-based campaign, and the reason for focusing on a very select handful of key issues is that, you know, whoever wins and the progressive mayor who is going to be elected is likely not going to be able to get a majority of votes, just the way things are shaking out this time. And we want to back the policies across the spectrum, no matter who the candidates are. A lot of them are supporting really needed new progressive ideas. And so we want to broaden the mandate for whoever wins to be able to go and implement those, both with the rest of council, and if they, and for some of these things, they will certainly be needing to go to other orders of government and say, look what Toronto wants, and are you going to come to the table? So I'm going to share a couple of things. Let me just get things in the right order here. So the first thing is that we launched, we did a soft launch last week. You probably saw in your inbox. We shared our issues polling. So I'm just going to share quickly. There's a tweet thread here. You know, we kind of themed it like what's good for Toronto. We had polling results from over 1,000 Torontonians. And some of the things, like the main thing that we found here, that again, like this is similar to what we found last time we did this polling, but it continues to be true even in the face of a very high stakes election. People want, people want investment in the city, even if it means a small property tax increase. And last time we asked this question, we were asking, you know, should we tax homes over 2.5 million to do this work? And now we're asking, what if we tax your property? And people still said yes. I'm not going to go over all of the details of this poll. It's really interesting. I think I just wanted to highlight this piece as well. If we look at those results across people who said that they were likely to vote for these candidates, all majority people said yes. So I'll post the link to that in the chat in a few minutes and you can take a look. But essentially, you know, all of the issues that I'm going to show you next are very well backed by Toronto residents. Like people already believe in these things, and now we just need political courage to get them done. So the next part of our issues campaign is the rollout of 6 candidate pledges. And so these are the 6, and I hope that people can remember them the same way that Yolanda was rhyming off the 5 key issues that are at stake for June 3rd, or the June 3rd Enough is Enough campaign. These are our 6, and they definitely fit. So we're asking candidates to pledge to reverse the TTC service cuts. This actually, it says 21 routes. It's 30 plus routes that have had service cut. And we're asking for that to be reversed back to pre-pandemic levels. We're asking for commitment to build more deeply affordable housing. Oh, I didn't mention this as well. We have partnered with community organizations. So TTC Riders is partnering with us for the first. Toronto Acorn and Progress Toronto are partnering with us on the housing commitment. And then we have a climate change or climate action piece. We're asking candidates to commit to investing in and improving our green spaces to fight climate change. And for those first 3, we have days of action coming up, and I'll come back to that in a minute. Then we have support schools as community hubs. For this one, we're partnering with Social Planning Toronto and the Space Coalition. We're asking for a commitment to stand up against hate, and that's with Urban Alliance on Race Relations. And we're asking for commitment to support the Labor Day parade, and not to be alarmist, but there is some reason to be concerned when it comes to the cost that is being handed down to a lot of, not just Labor Council, but other like major summer festivals and parades, because the police are saying that they want paid duty dollars instead of city tax dollars paying for them to do their jobs. So this is something that we need a commitment on as well, to be able to keep the Labor Day parade, accessible for us to be able to run. And I'm going to share the link to that. And as you can see, there's these nice little links, and you can see who signed on to these pledges. It's we're going to be updating on a rolling basis. If you don't see a candidate's name up there and you're in contact with them, or you'd like to know how they feel about it, I encourage you to reach out and ask them to sign the pledge, and they can get in touch with the Labor Council about that. But they should also have an email in their inbox, because we send it to all 102 candidates. And then the last thing that I need to update you on is, and I think I'll go to our events page for this. We have 3 days of action on those this first 3 issues that I mentioned. So we have the Housing Day of Action happening this Monday, June 5th. And we have identified locations in both the morning rush hour and the evening, like the afternoon rush hour, where we really would love to see your sign on to go and do some leafletting outside of subway stations for that. Same thing for our Transit Day of Action happening on Tuesday, next Tuesday, June 6th. And the last one is the Climate Day of Action on the following Tuesday, June 13th. So all, well, I guess the first 2 are taking place right before the advanced vote happens, and the last one on the final day of the advanced vote. So this is like a really crucial time when people are making up their minds about how they're going to vote, and we really want them to be going to the ballot box with these questions top of mind. So I'm going to post the link in the chat to sign up. I'll stop my share right now, but I'm going to post the link in the chat right now to ask people to sign up for a shift for the day of action, one of the days of action, one or all. You can, it's just one link for all 3 of them. And I would really encourage you to get out there, bring a friend, bring a partner, bring even your school-aged kid, because it can be before drop off. And yeah, we're gonna really raise the profile of these issues. And with that, I'll turn it back to Andrea.
Okay, thank you, Skylar. And I just want to take this time before saying anything else, that these meetings, we come out and we give updates as we get them around this election coming up. But the work that's put into it, again, just to really say a special thank you to the Election Planning Committee There are amongst you on this on the Zoom, and some wasn't able to make it, but it's a lot of work, their dedication in ensuring that we are working through all these issues, and I think what's also important is making sure that we stay in as one big labor family as we look at moving forward once we get to June 26th and after the next few years, how important it is and the kind of work that the election planning committee have been doing. And you're hearing from Skylar as Skylar lay out days of action, which is so important that you are participating in that. We are hoping that you're able to connect to whether to Skylar or to any one of us from the Labor Council, and hopefully your union already start talking about it to take part, whether it's June 5th, June 6th, or June 13th. And we are looking for volunteers for those days, whether first thing before your work, whether it's starting after 7 in the morning till after 9 or afternoon. Let us know that, we want to go out there, not one person standing at a bus stop, but get out, let's get out there, because this is so important. When I look at the list and I look at transit and seeing how, all these services that's no longer there, what is happening, and the untold stories of people that rely on transit and that their housing, how important we getting out of the pandemic and seeing that and recognizing that these are challenges that we're facing, and whether it's the enough is enough that I light some of them and the 6 that Skylar talked about. It's really important that you are able to help us to get out there and to let us use these 3 days and get the information out to everyone. So I want to thank the group for working together to put that out and to make sure that whoever getting the mayor's seat on the 26th, not waiting for us to knock the door to say what is on our mind. They already know by us getting out there and putting these issues and spreading it far. Also, for Skylar that been doing this work, she joked as she announced it just now, but a lot of this work that she put into it is so important. Skylar has been working really hard with the team on the dates and outside of that to make sure that we get it right as well. So, I want to thank Skylar for her hard work and the dedication in pulling us together and getting us to the 26th and beyond. So thank you, Skylar. Okay, so as we talk a bit about election matter and how important for us to play the role to make sure we're not just waiting for someone to do it right. I want to talk a little bit more as we have our speaker here. Our organizing in 2022 municipal election help us to elect a slate of progressive city councillor. We are very proud. We put the work in and in 2022, and now we are able to go through those doors as we asked in some of those interviews for them willing to meet with us and to hear the issues and also to work with us. And also to be out there to defend workers' rights. Something like time off and statutory holiday is very important. And what we need to know that not everyone is in the same position, continue to fight and to fight the employer as well, who not looking at workers' need, but sometimes it's just sheer greed as well. So with us tonight is one of those Toronto City Councillor we have endorsed and helped to elect. And I want you, I just want to ask for you to give a warm welcome to Councillor Alejandra Bravo. She's no stranger to us, but she's here also tonight to talk to us about a recent fight that we won against reopening of holiday shopping. It seemed like, and some of you might remember this fight in 2017 and raise its ugly head again. If we lost that fight, then the retail workers in some key Toronto area could have been required to work 365 days of the year. So I want to turn over and welcome Councillor Alejandra Bravo to speak with us. Welcome, Alejandra.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Andrea, and thank you to everyone. It's always a privilege to join you here and to be in this important space, this monthly meeting to advance workers' rights and the fight for justice that you wage alongside community members. Yes, this idea of holiday shopping is like a zombie in the city of Toronto. Every few years, some councillors want to revive it because they are serving at the pleasure of some very big economic interests. And this happened at Economic and Community Development Committee. It was a walk-on motion that was allowed to proceed. And so we had to deal with it before it got to the floor of council. On its route to council, it wasn't just one or two or three locations. So councillors wanted to add more and more and more exemptions that would have essentially eliminated this protection in the City of Toronto bylaw. And it was really crucial in this situation for us to work on the inside as progressive councillors who support workers with labor on the outside. And that is a winning combination. I think it's really crucial that the Labor Council has champions, people who you've identified through a really rigorous process of interviews, a rigorous process of looking at our records, and then decided whether or not to get behind us during election times. But that can't just be about that Labor Council endorsement. It has to be reciprocal. We have to come in after and walk alongside you in so many fights. We were really pleased to see that this drive to eliminating this basic protection, which is the right to a holiday, of which we have so few in Canada, which has been one historically with struggle for workers, particularly those workers who are in retail and hospitality around retail. I think that this is a good show of what happens when you have champions on the inside. I'm very proud to be one of those, and I have to give special shout out to councillors Paula Fletcher and Gord Perks. It's the new councillors who are progressive champions, and the veterans. When we work together, we can get a lot done. I think, though, that we continually see coming back a number of really important issues at committees and during council, in which we are wrestling with the contracting out of work at the City of Toronto, the precarious wages and working conditions of the workers who are faced with not a contractual relationship directly with the city, but they're delivering and doing city services. So we have a lot of work to do ahead of us. And I love hearing Andrea say that we're not going to wait for the election of a new mayor. We're going to start saying what it is that we want, what it is that our communities need, what it is that workers need to live a better life in the City of Toronto. So I'll be out with everyone at this important action on the weekend. And it's just a privilege to continue to be alongside you, to work alongside you, and to witness that mobilization that actually had calls into councillors from all over Canada for the mobilization locally. We beat back this attack on time off, on needed time off for workers, and we're going to be more ambitious next time, and not just hold ground, but actually be propositional and gain ground. And I'm excited to be there with you for that. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, Alejandra, and thank you. We always need the reminder, and for you reminding us that we have to be vigilant. Yeah, we can't look away. There's so many gains, and others that's always trying to find ways to take it back. So it's very important that we are vigilant and we don't need to apologize for what we gain. Like, it's very important that we celebrate them and keep them. So I thank you very much for joining us. I know you have a tight schedule and coming out to speak to us, and I appreciate that. Thanks very much.
Thank you so much, everyone. Thank you, Andrea. Have a great evening and the rest of your meeting. Take care.
Thank you. Okay. So I'm going to move on to another event for June. Again, as I keep talking about June, so much stuff. We have the Bramley Armstrong Award that's coming up. We have Comrade Faduma who will speak to us a bit, but for any of you that don't know Bramley Lyde Armstrong, he was known as this incredible labor and racial justice activist, and was part of this awards night every year. So we would have the Bramley Armstrong Award, the gala, and Bramley was with us for every one of those occasions. Until he passed away in 2018, and we continue. Because he passed doesn't mean we stop. We have to. He left a legacy that we have to use to remind each others, about the work and the struggle and where we're at today, and how we continue to take the torch and move on. So we continue to celebrate his legacy of his work by continuing with this awards night each year. This Labor Council started off the initial awards nights recognizing those activists whose work has been to challenge racial and social justice. And now this awards night continue with being a fundraiser for the Labor Community Services and their ongoing work in fighting racism, with the campaign for reminding you again of the Yes It's Matter, and also the refugee next door. And these are so important work, and the legacy of Bramley, and for Labor Community Services to continue taking on these important issues. We know that there is much more work to be done. This is just a pebble in the stream, in challenging racism and in raising the bar for refugees. June 20th will be the World Refugees Day. So it's a perfect month to hold the Bramley Armstrong Award and to talk about the work of Labor Community Service in doing all of this work. And I want to pass over to Comrade Faduma Mohammed, Executive Director of Labor Community Services, to tell us more about the award. Over to you, Faduma.
Okay, so thank you very much, Madam President, and good evening to everybody. You helped me, you said half of what I noted that I wanted to say already. Thank you, Andrea. So, as everybody knows, we are celebrating the 18th year of the Bramley Armstrong Award Gala. And this year is the year that we get the most nominees. So, in the past, we have this year 13, brilliant union members who were nominated. And the Equity Committee of the Labor Council have chosen 3 out of them. And also we have introduced the Union Award, 2 years ago, and now we have 2 unions who really won this year the award. So it's really very interesting the way it's moving up. So the Bramley Award theme this year is Beyond Performance, honoring the legacy of Bramley. So, the legacy of Bramley and people who came before Bramley who are fighting, anti-racism for the last 400 years in North America. Unfortunately, the work is still, not done, and we have still to keep vigilant and to fight, continue the fight. So what we are examining is that, how can we do beyond performance, that we don't really say we have done this, so it's fine. Now we have made that statement, it's okay. So how can we really do systemic change? And this year we have a very interesting panel members, our John Cartwright and Felisa Samuel and Yolanda Debesi will be panel members moderated by Winnie Indy. So we will be examining those questions. We will be asking those leaders tough questions to see where we go from there. And as Andre was saying, this is also fundraising for Labor Community Service to really fund all the work we are doing for the Yes It Matters and Refugee Next Door with all our volunteers, who some of them are here, and I thank them, all of them. So thank you for all unions who have already sponsored this year's Bromley event. So we appreciate, and there will be very interesting program, and there will be the dinner, the usual dinner, the photo booth, the dance, and everything that we used to have. This is the first year we are coming out of the COVID that we are trying to do online and at the same time in person. So we have to have that hybrid system, and hopefully it works well, and we will have live extreme live or the people online until the dinner and the dance. Then we have to shut them the online audience after that. So, and I think, so please, for all unions who have supported, what we need now is your delegation, your people who are coming to that event in person, and they can choose their choice of the dinner online. So if you have any questions you want to ask, please, you can either contact me at fmohammed@laborcommunityservice.ca or Rochelle Himaya, who is really in charge of coordinating this event. And her email is rhimaya@laborcommunityservices.ca. So I think that's all what I want to say for tonight. And thank you for the ongoing support for this very interesting subject. I think this is the future of us, and we can have, no peace without justice. And we really need also racial justice in this town. And I hope that we will continue, fighting this, and also have every union, do their part in their own locals. And thank you for all the nominees, for the people who nominated, and the winners, and also the unionists who are doing this job. Thank you, and for all our sponsors for this year. Thanks.
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much, Faduma. Thank you. And we will have a report from the Equity Committee in a minute. But I also want to remind you that June 21st is Canada's National Indigenous People Day. And perhaps folks can share with us in the Zoom. I invite you to share in the Zoom chat all the different ways your union is acknowledging June 21st. I would love to hear from you. I believe that the Equity Committee, someone is here, and I'm going to turn over to Yaroslava, if you're able to direct me, if it's Camlin or who is on to report on the Equity Committee.
I believe it is Camlin.
Okay, over to you, Camlin.
It's me. I'm Camlin, co-chair of the Equity Committee. A lot of what we were going to report has already been said, but I'll go ahead and just do it as a reminder for everyone. So the first thing is the Indigenous and Workers of Color Conference has been decided, and it is going to be on October 14th, which is a Saturday, at the Sheet Metal Workers Hall, which is 190 Milner Avenue in Scarborough. We will provide more information as follows. And Bromley will be this month, June 14th. If your union has already purchased tickets, then we're going to ask that you please reach out to Rochelle at Labor Community Services to RSVP who will be attending from your union, as well as make sure you choose your food selection. You can email info@laborcommunityservices.ca or Rochelle's email, which is rhimaya@laborcommunityservices.ca. We'll share that in the chat as well. And finally, the Equity Committee will be putting out a statement to condone the shameful decision that has been made by the York Catholic District School Board in choosing not to fly the Pride flag this year. We would like to encourage everyone during this month of June to show your solidarity, especially those of you who live or work in the York region area, to support our 2S LGBTQIA+ communities by attending the Pride events being hosted by them this month. York Region will be having a 2-day event in Newmarket from June 16th to the 17th. and the parade will be on the 17th. Toronto Pride will have events all month, and there will be 3 marches happening in Toronto. The Trans March on June 23rd, the Dyke March on June 24th, and the Pride Parade on June 25th. We're asking all of you to bring your family and show your solidarity to the York Region Catholic teachers who are fighting against this, and to our to us LGBTQI plus communities in solidarity. So thank you very much.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Kamini. Okay, and I believe it's also in the chat, the date for the Indigenous and Workers of Color Conference. Is it? I believe it's there. Yeah, so you could go through the chat. And then I'm going to move on to the correspondent report. Over to you, Comrade Abdi.
Thank you, Madam President. Tonight we have only one correspondence, and it's following up with what Sister Fatima and Sister Andrea and Kamlin mentioned it earlier. It's a request from Labor Community Services to become a sponsor for the 18th annual Lloyd Armstrong Award Gala on June 14. Sponsorship options includes $150 for a general admission to the gala, bronze at $1,000, silver at $2,000, gold at $3,500, and platinum at $5,000. The executive board recommends a sponsorship of $2,000. I so move it. Can I get seconder?
I can second. Carol Carpenter, Local 4400.
Thank you, Mark Lebedinsky. Seconded. Carl also on. Can vote. Thank you, the mechanism.
You're on mute, Susan.
Okay,
Thank you. I'll give it 2 more seconds. 2 and 1. And the poll, share the results. It is near unanimous. Thank you.
Thank you, Comrade Susan. Back to you, Madam President. And
Thank you very much. Okay, so I'm gonna turn over to CLC report. Is Felicia here? Anyone for CLC? Felicia?
I'm here. I'm in.
Oh, okay, sorry, I thought we lost you.
Sorry
Over
about
to
that.
you.
I was switching over. Thank you. Good evening, everyone. I hope that you're doing well. I'm just going to go to my report. I have a short and sweet report for you this evening. President Andrea already spoke about Pride, so I just want to share that in seeing the rise of hate against our LGBTQI plus family, we know we have to stand firm against that, and unions across the country are standing in support of our comrades. And we do have on our website, CLC website, a space where all of the activities across the country are going to be listed. I'll put that in the chat afterwards. We've also sent out to all labor councils various things in our toolkit that include social media posts, shareable graphics, customizable graphics, etc. And all of that has been sent, as I said, and this season, we really need to stand together and support. And the next thing I want to talk about, something I've been talking about for a while, there are still spots, so if you're interested in attending either CLC Women's School or CLC Ontario Summer School, Women's School is July 9th to 14th, and the Ontario Summer School is 16th to 21st. They're both at McMaster. They're going to be you'll be staying in residence, but the residences do have ensuite washrooms, so don't worry about that if you're concerned about being in residence. I know it's not Port Elgin, but it's still a great space. Next, we will be having, and this is advance notice, we're going to be having another Indigenous Lobby Day, and that's going to happen on October 3rd. We had our first one in 2019, and we had over 129 participants from 21 different union affiliates meet with 78 members of parliament and senators on Parliament Hill. So we really are looking forward to having more discussions, more lobbying, to discuss issues such as the call to action on missing and murdered Indigenous women and girls and Two-Spirit people, access to clean drinking water, on reserves, honoring residential school children and Indigenous education, and the National Day for Truth and Reconciliation. There's so much work to be done in all of these areas. And so this other lobby day is very much needed. So this is just a heads up that it's going to be happening. So you may want to speak with your affiliates just to see about attending. So more information will come on that. And last but not least, I told you this is really quick, I'm almost done. So I just wanted to celebrate ATU 113 and QP Local 2, yay. In early May, there's a judgment by the Ontario Superior Court of Justice that found that the TTC Act passed in 2011 violated workers' charter right to free collective bargaining. And the judgment came in response to a challenge that was filed in 2015 by the Amalgamated Transit Union, ATU 113, representing public transit workers, and by QP Local 2, whose members perform all installations, maintenance, and troubleshooting on all the TTC's electrical equipment. I'm going to put the press release in the chat, but I'm sure one of the ATU folks will want to speak about this. I'll let them have the moment to just share with everyone that huge win. And it's really big for making sure that we protect our fundamental right to strike as workers. So bravo, kudos to them for their excellent work in making that happen. And that's it for my report. Thank you, President Babington.
Thank you very much. Okay. Thank you. So we'll move on. If there's any more report from LEC, I don't think anyone is here from LEC. Faduma, do you have any additional for Labor Community Service?
No, thank you. And I think it was all about, probably we are very concentrating on that. But, you know, we are continuing the work with Acid Matters and Refugee Next Door. We are trying to do some strategic planning, you know, discussions on Refugee Next Door. And as you said, June 20 is the World Refugee Day, and we are trying to put that as a statement out. And we are lobbying the federal member of the cabinet members, the MPs, and not a very big response, but, you know, we'll keep fighting. You know, since we started the work, the refugees were 50 million globally. Now it's over 100 million, you know, in a couple of years, it have doubled. And most of those people are women, children, who are stranded in very different weather, you know, situations. And we will be also trying to put that statement on June the 20th. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. And up next, any report from the Education Committee, Women's Committee, and I believe the Equity is done already, and Municipal Committee. Any reports from committee? Okay. Okay, so I will move on to union report. Okay, Brian, I see you. Over to you.
Yes, hi. As Felicia was mentioning, on May 8th, Justice Chalmers of the Ontario Superior Court ruled that the TTC essential service legislation that was enacted in 2011 violated the Charter of Rights in taking away ATU Local 113 and QP Local 2 right to strike. Every argument the government put forward, the judge disagreed with their arguments. The judge also ruled that the balance of power was severely tipped in the employer's favor and that the legislation substantially interfered in the collective bargaining process. A key part of the ruling is Justice Chalmers ruled that replacing the right to strike with interest arbitration still violates the Charter of Rights. So that is a key ruling for all of labor, which will also go for any form of back to work legislation involving any union. So it makes it that much tougher for the government to enact back to work legislation, because they really have to prove that there is some really severe impact either in health, safety, security, the environment, or a really substantial harm to the economy to be able to justify it under Section 1 of the Charter of Rights. This legislation really crippled ATU Local 113, because in collective bargaining, the employer basically said, here's our offer, take it or leave it, and see you in arbitration if not. So there was no actual collective bargaining. And in the latest interest arbitration award, arbitrator Kaplan actually wrote that ever since the inception of the TTC Essential Services Act, collective bargaining has been singularly, serially, and completely unsuccessful. So even the arbitrator opinion in the latest collective bargaining interest arbitration said that the legislation substantially interfered in the collective bargaining process. So our collective agreement expires March 31st, 2024. So let's see how the employer now starts to negotiate with CUPE Local 2 and also ATU Local 113, now that we have our right to strike and our power back. Thanks.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. This is great news. And I see David, but David, before I let you speak, I just want to give a quick shout out, a reminder to Sunny. Okay, so I see Sunny there, and okay, Sunny wanted to do the report. What it was already on. So Sunny, after Comrade Ellen, then it's you. So David, go ahead.
Thank you, Chair Andrea. I was going to wait for Sunny to go. So listen, Good evening, everybody. Congrats again and bravo to ATU 113 and CUPE Local 2 for that historic victory. I'm here again for the Toronto Workers History Project. This month is also Indigenous History Month. It's not just June 21st, it's for the entire month to celebrate the history of Indigenous people. And on June 13th, we are honoring Elder Vern Harper and the Native Caravan of almost 50 years ago. Vern and his partner Pauline Shirt built the Wandering Spirit School, but they also led the Native Caravan that left from Vancouver in 1974 and made its way all the way to Ottawa, raising the issues, the rights of Métis people, broken treaties, and the ongoing poverty of health and housing of Indigenous people across country, conditions that have not changed in all that time, but we're proud to at least acknowledge Elder Vern. I'm afraid he passed on 2018, but it's time to honor this important veteran to Indigenous rights and our community at large. Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you. All right, over to Helen.
Thanks, Andrea. And I just wanted to clarify, because I posted two contradictory messages in the chat. As I posted the first one, they changed the date. So I just wanted to highlight that there's the Canadian Network on Cuba is hosting a speaker's Mariela Castro, who is the director of Cenesex in Havana. And is also, by the way, the daughter of Vilma Espin and Raul Castro. So I'd love to have been a fly on the wall on the conversations at dinner time around equality rights. And Paul Pugh, who's was the past president of the Unifor Local in Thunder Bay, the Bombardier plant. And I've actually been with Paul in many years going to Cuba. We go every January on a mostly trade unions delegation. So we met last January with lawyers there who actually explained the passing of the family code. So it is really quite revolutionary. And I think in terms of our fight for equality rights here, it would be really interesting to attend this and hear what transformative powers have been given to Cuban society in terms of equality rights. So just wanted, it's on June 28th, not the 21st, the 28th at 8 p.m. And it's a webinar, it's across Canada. So thanks very much.
Thank you. Okay, Sunny, over to you.
Thanks. Yeah, I just wanted to give an update what's happening at the York University Staff Association. So our union represents administrative, technical, clerical workers at York University. We've got two units, and there's Unit 1, which is more full-time or folks in long contracts or continuing. And we have Unit 2, which are folks in shorter contracts or part-time positions as well. So we're, in Unit 1, we've got pretty decent benefits and decent wages. But in Unit 2, it's, they have no benefits, no paid sick days, no pension, no job security, and much lower pay than in Unit 1, even though they do basically the same work. We're negotiating Unit 2 right now, and we're really trying to push to get benefits for these members, even just benefits similar to what the students at York University get. And we estimated the cost for that would be $150,000 a year for the university. The annual budget for York University is about $1.2 billion a year. So, it's almost nothing for them to add $150,000, but they say no, they won't do that. They've tabled their wage offer, and the wage offer was like 2.2, 2.25 per year. And we pointed out to them that if we accepted that offer, because minimum wage is increasing this year to $16.55, the wages for Unit 2 members, the lowest bands, would actually be lower than minimum wage. So I just think it's really offensive that the university is proposing lower than minimum wage to staff at the third largest university in Canada. So we said we weren't going to accept that. The university has asked for a no board now, and so we'll be having a strike vote shortly. We're still continuing to negotiate, but it's just I don't know, appalling and mind-boggling the approach the university has taken.
Okay, thank you, and we'll stay tuned to what's happening. Keep us informed. Thank you. And I think I'll turn over to John.
Thanks, Sandra. I think Carolyn will probably report on the wonderful Healthcare Coalition vote that was just announced yesterday. So I'll just note it was great to be down at the announcement today with Michelle Robideau, who's the co-chair along with Carolyn of the Health Coalition, and all the amazing people that were there. And what was wonderful is they introduced every local health coalition. The opposition, the NDP caucus was there in full, the Green Party, the Liberals there. But when they introduced the leaders of those coalitions, most of them were retired trade union activists. Many of them were former Labor Council presidents. So it's really good to see that people, as they say, we retire from the job, but not from the struggle. And I just want to report on another campaign, and this is with my Council of Canadians hat on. People know I'm the national chair of the Council of Canadians. And starting last month, we've started a series of town halls on pharmacare. We have been, as the labor movement, asking for a national pharmacare program for years and years and years. It's the unfinished piece of public health care. We're the only major industrialized country in the world that doesn't have pharmacare as part of its public health care. And we have Avi Lewis that's been going from city to city, with panels of amazing healthcare experts and people with lived experience to start building momentum so that the NDP can go to the Liberals and say, you have promised this year under the supply and confidence agreement to deliver a pharmacare program. We're not interested in a Band-Aid program. We want what Hoskins laid out, a full universal public pharmacare program. And so we'll keep coming back to people as we start mobilizing for this in the early fall and really, really pushing on the Liberal MPs in the GTA to make sure they're telling the Prime Minister and the Finance Minister this has got to get done this year. Thanks very much.
Thank you, John. And over to you, Carolyn.
Yeah, thanks very much for introducing it, John. But I think people here should just have a tremendous sense of pride in what happened. I mean, I was intimately involved in this as numbers of you were, and it was extraordinary because over 400,000 votes were cast. And this was a vote, a referendum, a people's referendum as it was called, that was done by local community and union activists all by themselves, you know, in the sense of working for a number of months, finding voting stations, whether it was in Legion halls or in community centers or union halls or farmers markets or some places in the local grocery stores, place after place after place. And it was extraordinary. And as John said, there are 40 odd coalitions in most cities and towns of the province, some of them new, some of them that have been fighting for quite a long time. And when you think of what it took to get those 400,000 votes, and we assumed it would go our way, but it didn't have to go our way because National Post and other major media outlets, et cetera, were really putting the other side's perspective forward. The privatization was the only way. I mean, we've said it so often, create a crisis and then you put the profit motive in as the way to do it. But in those votes, and it was anyone who chose to vote, 99% came out against the privatization of hospitals and clinics. It was just extraordinary. And, you know, having been going from poll to poll, picking up votes, dropping off ballots, doing all of the things, you know, in those 2 days, you know, members from Local 4400, from all kinds of CUPE locals, from the ATU, I mean, everybody, OECTA, the elementary teachers. Felicia was on a poll out in Scarborough, and the steel workers I know, and other people did it too. United Food and Commercial Workers had workplace votes. CUPE locals had workplace votes, OPSU locals, hospitals like Humber River Hospital up at Baycrest, both the SEIU and the OPSU local did workplace votes. And I know in our workplaces, in our plants, with light manufacturing across the city, workplace votes. And it was just an extraordinary coming out of what people feel about our healthcare system and what's happening to it. And I know I was up at Lawrence Plaza with a poll for a period of time with Pixie, an activist from 4400, and just all the people, you know, from the Filipino community, the Spanish-speaking community, all these different communities, just having the conversations about what was happening. And then they made their decisions to vote. It was just moving, and it was a real mass movement in many senses. And it would never have happened, I don't think, because John said with all those active retirees from the unions, also support from unions like CUPE and the elementary teachers and ONA and Steel and so many unions to, you know, allow us to get all these young people on to work for a couple of months just to sort of help with the infrastructure. It was just really heart, yeah, no, it just made your heart feel good. And when we were counting the vote in the Steel Hall, there was a large Filipino group going on, having a meeting, having a celebration of one sort or another. And they were all coming in, yes, I voted, yes, I voted, yes, I voted. It was just wonderful. And did the vote itself, is it going to mean Ford is going to step back and say no? But you know, he stood up and he said, it's a sham, it's just a political maneuver, it's this, it's that. But the very fact that he felt he had to push on another MPPs too from his Conservative Party. So this is just the beginning. We're continuing on. And I just think citizens really, when they had the opportunity, and if we had more volunteers, if we had more breadth, you know, we could have gotten even more. But what did happen just was honestly, something like 1,000 polls across the province. It was extraordinary. So anyway, it was great. And thank everybody of you who voted. I know most of you probably did, and the unions that helped. And it's just part and parcel of the long-term fight we're up against, you know, in this province. So thank you, thank you, thank you for all the help you guys gave. Wonderful.
Thank you. Thank you for your report, Caroline. Yep. Okay, did I see another hand? Okay, Abdi.
Oh, and I should have said there was also a vote that took place in South Central on the plant floor, Abdi, just so you know that. Yeah. I forgot. I should have said
Postal workers participate.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
I want to thank Sister Jane Marsh and all the comrades who
Oh,
participate.
wonderful.
And we are part of this coalition today, tomorrow, and until we see our public health stays public.
Okay.
You're here. Yes.
Okay, thank you. I'm just doing my quick check if anyone else is on. I don't see anyone else. Okay, so yep. Once again, I thank all of you for staying with us. I know a few people have to go, but having all of you here, these are very important report from, that we're hearing, whether it's Sunny who's alerting us of this fight that's looming, that we have to get ourselves ready, stay connected. The report from Carolyn or John, just giving us good news of things that we can do together. And, whether politicians believe it or not, this is our strength, and it's us being forceful, showing that we're going to push them back, right? And this is a year where we are determined to do that. But all the different fights, whether it's the report from Skylar with the election coming up, how, we gotta, before we get off this meeting and for the next few days, and whether we're volunteering for the election or making up our mind, we need to answer our own question, what's at stake for us, and are you voting? And if that's yes, then who are you organizing to vote inside your household and your neighbor next and your coworker, right? You can't ask people to vote if you're not going out to vote. They sense it, and if it doesn't feel urgent, then they won't move either. Sometimes we knock door and a family in the household tell us every single one of them vote in different ways. So this is an opportunity for us to start the conversation. If we haven't done so, we have a second chance to do it right. So I urge all of you to get active and start the conversation, talk about the issue, and we're looking forward. Let us know if you are available, if your afternoon shift or later, and you can help us June 5th or 6th or 13th for one of these day of action, early morning before you start, or after later in the afternoon when you're done. That, we appreciate that. The more of us going out there, we're sending that strong message that we're not happy with the issues in our workplace, in our community, and whoever gets into that chair need to get this letter that's in advance of what we are talking about as well. So I want to thank everyone for joining, and enjoy the rest of the evening. It's still nice outside, and I will see you on Saturday for the rally. All right, thank you very much. Welcome back, Brother Alim.
Yes.
And Jennifer's going to play us a song to play us out.
Good night, comrades and family. Friends.
Okay, so you'd better do that because Brandon is wondering what's happening to the music.
Tina.
Yes.
You must understand the
the touch of your hand makes my pulse react. That it's only the thrill